and Sase Dizium Chanelwe and Jazia. We're going to be talking about why Haitians do not date other Haitians. Now this one, it's going to be interesting. A lot of people be asking me like, oh my god, why don't Haitians date other Haitians, da 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 da. And what's interesting about this is I'm like one of those Haitians that's like very pro Haitian men. I'm dating a Haitian man. I've always predominantly dated Haitian men or just other black men. If it wasn't a Haitian man or an African American man, it was a Hispanic man. Like I've always kind of just stayed in the ethnic realm. Like I love me culture, all right? I don't know, something about Haitian men. And it's very funny because like when I said I wanted to date a Haitian man and I wanted to marry a Haitian man, I kid you not, my parents were in shock. Okay, they were like, you what? Like, they were like, are you sure? I was like, yeah. Like, the fuck? Like, I was like, I don't know what y'all shocked about. And it's interesting because I feel like this younger generation is kind of deviating away from each other. But I can say growing up, it seems like as much as we kind of date other people for whatever reason, a lot of us end up marrying each other anyway. It's very interesting. But I guess we'll see, because lately it seems like from my generation, a lot of us are marrying each other anyway. But I have seen it's becoming very 50-50. I have a couple of friends that are marrying completely different, you know, out of their race, like literally white men, Indian men, like completely different people. And then I see a lot of people that are marrying within their race, Haitians. It's going to be very interesting to see in the next 10 years how that goes. So you guys are probably wondering, so well, what's going on? Okay, what's going on? So of course, our Haitian or Creole word of the day is going to be love, l'amour. Okay, l'amour, love. Very simple. There's other words to say, but we're going to do l'amour, which is also French, and let's just get into it. So when it comes to the Haitian culture, I will say that when it comes to relationships, it's extremely toxic on both ends. Haitian men have always been extremely toxic in relationships. If you've grown up with a Haitian father, 9 times out of 10, you will know that your Haitian father more than likely cheated on your Haitian mother. So for a Haitian woman, more than likely by the time they get to my age, which is I'm 27 now, by this time you're either in 2 categories. You're either thinking if I'm not in a relationship with a good man now, which I thank God I found my man. My man is like amazing, incredible. I know he's like a good man and he don't got time for bullshit. You're either in the category of any man that I have found is horrible to me, and they're all horrible, and any man I have has been horrible, and any man I will find in the future is going to be horrible, or you're in the category of what I get is what I get. And it's sad because people don't understand, for a woman, their father is the first example that they have of a man that they should choose. And this goes for everyone. But of course, we're talking about Haitians, right? This is a Haitian channel. We're talking about the Haitian perspective. I know this can apply to other people, but we're talking about the Haitian perspective. If you have a father that treats you amazingly and is an amazing father to you, but is a cheater and treats your mom like crap, it doesn't matter how good of a father he is. My dad was a cheater, and so were all the other male figures that I had in my life that were family members to me. I had other mentors in my life that were men that were amazing men, and that's what saved me. All the male figures in my life that I had that were family members were amazing men, but they were all cheaters to their wives. They were all dogs. All the other male figures that I had that were mentors that weren't family members were good, outstanding men that did not cheat on their wives and were faithful. And that's what saved me and helped me see that not all men were dogs. If all of them were dogs and all of them were trash, I guarantee you I probably would not have been able to see that there were good men out there, because I've been dogged out so many times. But I've also been with a lot of men that didn't dog me out. So I kept hope alive and I just kept trying. And another thing for me is I never treated any man based on my last. And another thing that's just human instinct is, oh, okay, well, I dated this type of man, I'm never going to go after this type of man again. A lot of people have this thing where, okay, well, I dated a black boy, so all black boys are bad. I dated a Hispanic boy, so all Hispanic boys are bad. I dated a white boy, all white boys are bad because this white boy did this to me, this black boy did this to me, this Hispanic boy did this to me, so they'll almost be bad. A lot of people do this because it's just human nature. If a type of person does something something to you and it happens once or twice, you're gonna just all deem that type of person a bad type of person. And this is what would consistently happen to a lot of people, especially in the Haitian community. If your dad is this type of person, you see your dad continuously dogging out your mom, and then say if you live in a certain type of community that also has this type of person, say you live in a Haitian community and all the Haitian boys you're dating are always cheating on you, they're always taking other women on you, you're gonna be like, okay, fuck Haitian boys. I don't want Haitian boys. My dad is a Haitian man, he's a dog. All these Haitian boys I'm dating, they're dogs as well. I don't want to deal with them. Now, if we're taking it from a Haitian man perspective and you see that your mom is always crying, complaining, yelling, complaining, going off on you to do your chores, just loud, obnoxious, and you know, doing all of this, mainly because your dad is a dog and always cheating, but you're not seeing it that way because your dad that ain't shit. And this is another perspective that a lot of Haitian men have, that, oh, well, the street is for the men. Boys are allowed to do whatever it is that they want. Haitian men and men in general can be outside. They live outside. It's so fucking annoying, but ask any Haitian man. They have this perspective that men can be outside. Outside is for the men. The streets is for the men. That's how what they have. So if you have a dad that's pumping this shit into your brain and then your mom is always yelling and screaming about it, your perspective is gonna be, oh my god, my mom is obnoxious, my mom is so loud, my mom is annoying as fuck, all she does is bitch, cry, and complain. Your perspective then of your mom is gonna be, all she does is yell, all she does is scream, all she does is complain. That's what black women are like. That's your perspective of what a black woman is. So you're not gonna want to deal with any other woman that's like that. Now, say if that's not your perspective of your mom, say if you do understand that your dad is a dick, okay, and your dad is cheating, and your dad is always outside, and that's probably why she's complaining. Now, say if you do live in a predominantly Haitian area, or just an area with a lot of black people, and you're now going out to date a bunch of black girls, and say these girls are trash, or whatever, you're trash, and they're cheating on you, whatever it is, young people go through a lot of things. And I feel like that's another thing a lot of people do not take into consideration. When you're young, things happen. Kids cheat, okay? Kids don't know what they want. Kids just shouldn't be dating because a lot of bad things are going to happen, and a lot of these bad things do mess up your perception. There's a lot of people that don't understand that kids are not equipped to date, okay? They're not going to understand the consequences of their actions. Kids see things like toys, all right? You get one toy, you see a new toy, you go after the other toy, and that's how they see dating, right? This boy's cute, but that boy's cuter. I'm gonna go after the cuter boy. This boy's cute, but this boy offers me more. I'm gonna go after what offers me more. So say now you're dating a girl and she sees this other boy that offers her hot Cheetos and all you gave her was Doritos. Maybe she liked Cheetos more. She's gonna go after the Cheetos. So now you're dating all these girls and now you're getting cheated on, blah, blah, blah. Now you're associating all of this bad and promiscuous behavior with black girls. And now you're like, you know what? I don't want any more black girls. I don't want any more Haitian girls. All these Haitian girls played me. And we all know men are really, really bad at taking heartbreak. I feel like girls bounce back a lot better than boys because boys can get heartbroken in 5th grade and take that to the grave. So now you're associating it with, I don't like black girls, I don't like Haitian girls. All hope is lost for the Haitian woman in your life. All hope is lost for the Haitian boys in your life, the Haitian men in your life. So now let's just take these regular scenarios to back. Throughout dating, you're sticking to the white girls, you're sticking to the Spanish girls, you're sticking to the Indian boys, you're sticking to the Indian girls. Like, just say that, you know, now we're straying away from the Haitians. So due to what's going on with your parents, due to what's going on to the social circles in your neighborhood and people cheating on you in freaking middle school and high school, you're just like, yeah, I'm not dating these types of people. I'm gonna stay away from them. I don't like their mannerisms. And it just continues because now, say the people around you are dating Haitian people and you're like, yup, so you see, I don't deal with those people. You still getting cheated on. I was cheated on back in the day, and now, see, you still going through that because you think that because you went through something in 6th grade that your situation is better than theirs, when in actuality you were a freaking adolescent, and that's not something to go based off of. But since you see what your parents went through, they're not a good representation either because they're adults that probably had no business having kids at the time they had kids either, because a lot of Haitians have kids prematurely, you know. So you see where I'm coming from? A lot of people just have parents that really had no business having kids, and they're just really poor representation of literally parents, and they're feeding that bad representation into their children. So now when it comes to the whole Haitians dating each other, it just feeds a bad narrative into the kids. And it's the same for the Black American community, it's the same for the Hispanic community, it's the same for a lot of people in a general sense. But again, this is a Haitian channel, so we're talking about the Haitian perspective. So for most Haitian people, this is exactly what happens. It all starts with the parents here, because a lot of Haitians get brought up in a very, very toxic household. When you see your parents don't get along, which is most Haitians, like I rarely have any friends that have parents that get along. I literally could count on one hand how many of my friends have parents that love each other, that kiss each other, that are friends, that talk, that sleep in the same room. Most of my friends have parents that literally sleep sleep in separate rooms, that are not friends, that do not talk to each other. Okay, like a majority. Most Haitians grow up in toxic relationships with their kids, with each other, and that's the main reason a lot of Haitians refuse to date each other, because they're afraid of reciprocating the same behavior that their parents did onto their own children, because they see it as, yep, it's a Haitian thing. And a lot of Haitians will tell you, yeah, that's a Haitian thing. And sadly, it is. A lot of it is. Like, you don't hear about shit like that. Black American people, you know what they do? They actually split the fuck up. And honestly, I think that's the best thing to do. I would rather not be in the household with someone than be in the household with someone. A lot of you guys are probably listening to the shit like, that makes no sense. And it doesn't. Why be in the same household with someone if you're not with them? That's Haitians for you. Okay? Even Hispanic people, they're not about to stay in the fucking house with someone if they're not with them. No, Haitian people will literally die with the person in the same house, but literally be in a whole nother relationship, have multiple fucking families outside of the house in different countries, but still live with the person because they're legally married. Because, oh, it's for the kids. No, it's not. Okay? It's not for the kids. They think because they're physically there to take care of their kids, it's taking care of the kids. The kids all know that the parents hate each other. Okay? The kids all know that this is a horrible experience for all of them and everyone's miserable. Okay? They know that their parents hate each other, but they think it's for the kids. You know how, oh my god, I'm not even gonna get into that. This is probably gonna have to be a separate video for a whole nother time. But this whole idea of staying for the kids is just problematic. But a lot of Haitians think that this is a thing. Most people get a divorce, become legally separated or something. These people don't do that. Haitians don't do that. They just stay in the house and hate each other. A lot of Haitians won't get together out of fear of reciprocating that. They think other races of people are better because, you know, they don't do that nonsense. And I'm not even gonna lie, I give them that, because Haitians don't believe in divorce. They believe in till death do us part, literally. Or I guess till voodoo do us part, because yeah, they'll literally kill you. They'd rather go to the devil, they'd rather go through spiritual means, they'd rather go to a baka, not an ogon, because ongo's for white magic, a baka is for black magic, than to deal with their problems the civil way. And it's an issue. It's more of a psychological response, a trauma response to, I don't want to put my future kin through it. I don't want to go through this with someone who has that same type of mindset and thinking that's okay. Because a lot of Haitians do think that's okay because they've gone through it. A lot of people would see this and be like, well, my parents went through this. This is how my parents handled it, so I think it's okay to do this. I ain't got time. I will get a divorce before I go through that. I don't believe in divorce, but I'd go through a divorce before I sit there and do some shit like that. I think it's dumb. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's extra. So, of course, there is the question of self-hatred. We all know that Haiti has gone through a lot. Haiti does not look good in the media. Of course, there's the whole question of, yeah, Haiti did voodoo to get itself away from the French. The whole dark skin situation. A lot of Haitians are dark skinned, and if you're not dark skinned, I'm very sure someone in your family and your lineage is dark skinned. So if you have a baby with a Haitian person, I'm sure they're gonna probably be dark skinned if you're not dark skinned, because a lot of people that are Haitian are dark skinned. So like, yeah, it's a lot of people really do not want to have babies with Haitian people out of fear of them becoming dark skinned, or just the stigma of just being Haitian, or just a spiritual connection. There's a lot of Haitian people that you don't know where they come from. I will say that much. So when it comes to Haitians, Haitian people are fucking, how do I say, they have a lot of karma. This is not even like I'm not even talking about revolutionary, post-revolutionary things. Haitian people do a lot of shit. There's a lot of Haitians that have done a lot of things to people, and there's a lot of Haitian people who are really fucked up individuals. So there's a lot of people who have done things to people in terms of greed, stolen money from people, have generational curses on people. There's a lot of Haitian people who do fucked up shit, and you don't know what they've done. So imagine you get with a Haitian person who has a generational curse, who literally can't have kids because they did something to someone, who has a hit out on them. Like literally, there's so many Haitians that have so many things on them and you don't know nothing. And now imagine you go get with them and now you fucked, you know? And yes, that could be anyone, but with Haitians, it's not the same. You gotta be very careful when you're getting with another Haitian person when you're Haitian. Like, because now imagine you got something on you, and Haitians love to keep secrets. Haitians love to keep secrets. Oh, my great-grandfather was a baka, and you know, he killed a couple people, and now those people want to come after us, and now we have a generational, they're not about to tell you none of that. So now you're at risk, your kids are at risk, your kids are at risk, you know, so you gotta be very, very careful. And there's only certain ways to break these certain things. There's only certain people you could go to, you know, you got to be very, very vigilant. That's another reason a lot of people don't want to, like, you know, a lot of Haitians don't want to date other Haitians. And some people just also want to break the whole idea of that. Like, if you're a part of like that spiritual realm, like say if you do come from a family that is full of ogons or bokos, some people just don't want to be part of that voodoo life anymore. They're like, you know what, I don't want to be part of anyone that has anything to do with that. So they're like, you know what, I don't want to marry a Haitian. And I mean, I guess that's their right. But you could also just marry a Haitian that has nothing to do with it. But I mean, that's your prerogative. I think that's just what it is. I think that's your prerogative. It's just sad that people would think that you know, that's gonna stop things, because a lot of times that doesn't really do much, because sometimes a lot of things is tied to you. Your karma is yours if you have any, but I mean, some people just don't want to inherit people's karma, because that's a whole nother story. I'm gonna have to do a whole video on karma itself, because that's a whole interesting thing. So yeah, of course, let me know what you guys think about this video down below. What do you guys think about everything I said? It's a lot, because yeah, the Haitian household is very toxic, and Haitians go through a special type of experience. They really do. And the whole idea of Haitians not wanting to date each other is a very special one. I don't like it, but it's understandable. It's like, I would never, because like I love my Haitians, okay? I love my Haitian people to death, but it's like, I get it. I understand why people wouldn't want to. So with that being said, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, and I'm gonna see y'all next time. Bye.